The latest and greatest on the Giants trying to hire Tony Vitello. All of the updates, the newest news that we have coming right up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Alan Stiles. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, the Alan Stiles Show, 10 a.m., 2 p.m. Be sure to check that out, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team that I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are talking about Tony Vitello, what the holdup is, and all of the rumors that have been spread. I'm going to be honest with you, and today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So a lot of people have been hitting me up trying to figure out if there was a reason I was a little bit late to do the show today. I had people hitting me up on social media. Be sure to follow me at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. It's nothing crazy like that. To be honest with you, though, I did think that the news would have broke by now. I did think that, which is why I wanted to wait to do the show, because I didn't want to do a morning show, and I put it out. And right after that, the news breaks. So now my show is completely useless. So I've waited till 4:15. There's still no updates on what's going on with Tony Vitello, besides just, I don't know if it should be called Vitello Gate or whatever the case is, but I have never been a part of anything like this. And this show is going to be a little bit different than others. By the way, you have the Angels hiring Kurt Suzuki. So that's a name off the board who did interview with the Giants. But this is going to be a different show. I'm going to be on social media. I'm going to be on X because I do think that something could break, and I want to continue to give you updates. There's been so much going on. So today, and by the way, Jeff Passan, he told us about Kurt Suzuki, and everybody was just responding saying, where is the Vitello news? I don't know what's real right now. Can I just say that and be completely honest with you? I don't know what's real with you. We're also going to bring up the pros and cons if the Giants do go in this direction. And if they don't get Tony Vitello, where do they go from here? That'd be two candidates now that would have essentially told the Giants no. So I've never been a part of anything like this. We have people from Tennessee making fun of the Bay Area. We have people from Tennessee. I've seen fake accounts who they have created accounts as Giants fans, SF Giants fan 123, saying, we don't want Tony Vitello. He's a bum. He should stay in Tennessee. And they're clearly fake. Clearly, these are Tennessee fans having some fun, trying to make it seem like Giants fans don't want Tony Vitello. Now, I know there are some people out there that don't want Tony Vitello, but these fans have completely lost it. I have never seen anything like this, and I get it. When you're Tennessee and every single season, it seems like, and I'm a guy, I've been a fan of Tennessee for absolutely no reason. I've never been to Tennessee. I have no connection to the university, but I like the color orange, and I've always kind of followed them. I've always picked them in the NCAA March Madness, and they let me down, right? And in football, I'm always kind of pulling for them. And then they lose to Alabama just like they did this past weekend. But I've always kind of, not a crazy fan, anything like that. I don't have any Tennessee gear. But when I watch them and I don't have a rooting interest, I'm always rooting for Tennessee. And that goes to baseball, the way they play the game. Tony Vitello, little did I know that my joy of watching Tennessee and my little crush on Tennessee, if you will, would collide worlds with the San Francisco Giants, because this has been insane, man. And, you know, some of the stuff has gone out of bounds, but that's what fans do. And I just want to tell everybody to protect their peace out there in a lot of these conversations and a lot of these back and forths. You don't know these people. You don't know these people anything. And at the end of the day, it's really not that serious. So keep things above board if you can. But this is insane. So as far as Vitello Gate goes, Woke up this morning, and obviously they're ahead of us. I'm out here on the West Coast, and Tony Vitello was spotted. This is from San Rothman. Okay, and Tony Vitello was spotted at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. They had a scrimmage today. All right, and he's literally just standing there, and people are saying, "Does he look emotional? Does he look like he just said something?" There's another clip where they're all walking, and that was about two maybe even 3 hours ago now. There's another clip where they're all walking off the field, right? Like everything is done, for the day. So my thought process was, okay, cool. We're going to hear something on Tony Vitello pretty soon. He's going to talk with his team. And here we go. We heard Kurt Suzuki. Now what else is going on? And we have heard nothing. Okay. And these are just a bunch of people out there in Tennessee from Camille Gear. Here's how Tony Vitello left Tennessee's scrimmage. Love y'all, and gave a thumbs up at the end. That was an hour ago. So now people are looking into that. He's throwing up the peace sign. I don't know, man. I've never seen anything like this. And I know that we are going to discuss some of the pros and cons as to hiring Tony Vitello, but leave it to the Giants and leave it to Buster Posey to just do something. This is what happens when you, I guess, try something new and try to do things a different way. Or this is just what happens when you try to hire somebody that already has a contract, because that's the other part of this. But, I'm continuing to refresh this thing to see if anything comes up as far as him being hired. But I don't know. I mean, we're hitting the evening time for the Volunteers out there in Tennessee. I don't know what's going to happen. And if you remember what I said yesterday, I continue to tell you, if it doesn't happen today, that's when I would get a little bit worried. This cannot be about money, because the Giants, if they really want him, they should be throwing him that money. Maybe they don't want to throw him that type of money, but okay, well then don't try to hire people that already have jobs. That's the other part of this. So we will keep you up to date. Let's get to some of the pros and cons on the other side and how everyone's feeling. I appreciate all the comments as always. Let's get to that right after this quick one as we continue to discuss Tony Vitello, the possible or probable next manager for the Giants. Don't move. More Locked On Giants coming up. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What I love about FanDuel, I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get started. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. I love that I can review everything with my partner, see our shared goals, and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, so I just found a little something out, and as we continue to discuss what's going on here, it seems like there are some conversations going on. I'm trying to get some details on what exactly they are about, but clearly this thing is not a done deal, and we already have people saying, well, if Tony Vitello doesn't take it, where should the Giants pivot to next? It's interesting because it could come off as a negative, right? The situation the Giants find them in. But I think very similar to, let's take the New York Knicks, for example. The New York Knicks, they wanted a coach because they're the Knicks and they think that they deserve it. The Knicks wanted a coach that already had a job. So the Knicks asked about 4 or 5 different NBA teams, hey, can we interview your coach? And they all declined. They all said no. They ended up getting Mike Brown. So, a guy who's been to an NBA Finals, a guy who's been around, he's been in the playoffs, he's coached LeBron, and he didn't have a job, right? He had been let go from the Kings out here in Sacramento. That shouldn't look like the Knicks don't have a desirable job. They went for specific people and weren't able to get those specific people. So then they got the best on the list that was currently out of a gig, which was Mike Brown. That's how I'm kind of looking at this Giants thing. There's some people out there that says, hey, if Tony Vitello says no, is this a bad look on the San Francisco Giants because they couldn't convince him to stay? Right? They could not convince him, or I guess to leave. And I don't think that's the case simply because it was going to be really hard to convince him to leave anyway. And I've been telling you all this from the beginning because I know how much Tennessee fans love Tony Vitello. They never win national championships. You see him go. Auburn was able to sneak one with Cam Newton. You see, obviously, Alabama always has them. Georgia got one. We've seen this before. They have somebody that has turned their program, which was a bit of a disaster, turned their program into a juggernaut, an absolute juggernaut. So obviously, this is something and someone that they care about deeply. So, and with that being said, he knows that, and it's not going to be easy for him to leave that situation. So you have 2 guys, one guy who was dealing with a family situation that was interested, but ultimately said, it's better. He's not turning it down and taking the Padres job, at least not yet, Nick Hundley, and I don't think he's going to. But you have 2 situations where you have Nick Hundley, who didn't really want to leave his family, and Buster tried to convince him. Then next you would have, of course, Tony Vitello and what he brings to the table and how much of a really, really good situation he has in Tennessee. I know that the South got barbecue and a bunch of different food down there. Tony Vitello does not pay for food. He doesn't pay for food. He doesn't pay for beverages. He doesn't pay for anything down there. And I saw something on Foul Territory about the player control, and Susan Slusser was on about the player control and just the control of the organization. You have rookie ball, high A, low A, single A, double A, triple A, all these different levels. You just don't have the same level of control. And I get it. The coaches aren't completely in the weeds. The head coaches are, but compared to being a manager in Major League Baseball, you definitely are in the weeds, and you know everybody's name and you have control. Look, the portal is the portal, but you're not getting a call from a GM saying, hey, at least I don't think you are, hey, we're moving off of this outfielder at the end of the year, or this outfielder is going to go into the portal, or this is how much money the money thing is not really on the manager. That's more so on Buster. But it's just a level of control that you're used to that he would be giving up. So that is part of it too. It's a complete lifestyle flip. Like I said, I've never been to Tennessee, but I know it's not like California. I know it's not like the Bay Area. So this is a complete 180 from what Tony Vitello has been doing. And we talked about it yesterday. I'm not saying there's cold feet involved, but there's probably some really, really thinking through this thing involved. And again, when you are one of the highest paid college coaches, it's not as if, money-wise, you got to get bought out of your contract, or they got to buy you out of the contract. I don't know that you're getting completely blown out of the water. You're not making $100,000 with Tennessee, and now you're about to make $5 million. Now, it's not my money, and I'm pocket watching, and I would never turn down an extra $2 million, whatever the case is. But he is probably looking at all of this. So it's not surprising to me that we're still here. It's surprising to me that if he was going to take it, we haven't heard anything. It's surprising that we haven't heard anything at all. Okay, we haven't heard anything at all, and it's a little bit too quiet. I'm looking at all this, and again, this is from Vol Scoops. 18,000 followers, your source for Tennessee Volunteer News. Tony Vitello told the baseball team after the scrimmage that he has not made a decision yet and does not know what he's going to do. That's from Eric Kane, okay, via Vol Scoops. And by the way, my algorithm is going to get destroyed with a bunch of Tennessee stuff due to this, and I'm double checking here. Okay, so he added, thank you all. We got meetings. Tony Vitello to the porches leaving the field. That was 2 hours ago. He added a love y'all. So he did say that. I guess people showed up to the stadium and said, we want Tony. He threw a baseball into the crowd. So this stuff all happened, and Eric Kane just posted something. Let's see here. Eric Kane just posted something, and of course he says Tuesday was interesting as a midweek fall scrimmage wasn't like the others. Instead, fans poured onto the porches beyond the outfield wall in left and center field, trying to show their support and appreciation for a skipper who could be on the move. But will Tony Vitello be on the move? That's a multi-million-dollar question that still nobody has the answer to as of today. Sources told VolQuest that Vitello did meet with his team following the scrimmage, but that he remains undecided. So as of 5:30 p.m. Eastern, a decision still has not been made. So that was 2 hours ago. Okay, that was 2 hours ago. A decision had not been made, and we're just going to wait and see. And I know this is a weird situation for Giants fans to be in, because it just feels unnecessary a little bit. I wanted Tony Vitello, but I didn't know that it would come with this. We don't know if this is about money. We don't know if this is about cold feet. We're just not sure. And I got some texts out. I'm waiting to hear back. Like I said, I heard something just about the conversations that are being had. The fact that he's undecided is not good to me. It is not good. You're not going, and I'm not going to throw any other teams under the bus, but you're not going to the Rockies. I guess I just did. You're not going to the Rockies, right? You're not going to the Marlins. You're going to the San Francisco Giants. So these are two guys now that Buster, and this is what happens when you take big swings, but these are two guys now that Buster Posey has approached, right? And they've had to think about it. One guy pulled out and said no, Nick Hundley. The other guy is still mulling it over, or there's still conversations about a contract. Look, maybe this is on the Tennessee front. Maybe this is figuring out the buyout. Maybe that's part of this. I don't know. Maybe it's not about cold feet, but shout out to the Tennessee fans for showing out and saying, hey, we're not going to go quietly. We love our guy. Good on them. Good on them, because I don't know if anybody saw this coming. And I'm just getting bits and pieces here, more of the article. In an era of college baseball, when there's so much change happening all at once, Tennessee fans should appreciate the consistency of Tony Vitello and his staff when adding impact transfers to the roster each and every season. This past summer was no different. The staff brought in 9 transfers who are making their presence. Anytime you go through a season or experience where something is missing, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, this is the newest update on everything. We're just going to wait and see. And I'm reaching out to all the different contacts that everybody has in Tennessee. Like I said, I've never been out there, but we are working through, and I'm talking to some people now. Obviously, that's from Eric Kane, by the way. It's from On3 Sports. There is a paywall. I just opened it up. There is a paywall, so you'll maybe have to wait on that, and we'll see. And actually, Eric Kane does Locked On Vols, so I'm going to see if I can have a conversation with Eric and get something out here, either via a short or any other capacity, and we'll see what we can do. All right, one more segment with you. Let's talk about the pros and cons of hiring somebody like Tony Vitello, if it ever happens. More Locked On Giants coming up. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. Fees are included. Know your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. It's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off, swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Gametime today. One more segment with you. Yeah, and I'm sending a note out to Eric here and trying to start a convo with him. I'm actually going to do it during the pod. So I just sent that to him. Not sure if I'll hear back. I'm sure he's got a lot of DMs to sift through, and I'm going to try to get him on the show tomorrow as well. Let's see if we can pull that off. But yeah, the pros and cons as far as, and I'll check back in with Eric before I close this out to see if he responds. But the pros and cons to me, the pros, fresh look, right? Fresh a thought process on everything. And it is basically a way for Buster to put his flag in the ground and say, we're here. We're not afraid of you Dodgers, Smurfs. We're not. And look, go Canada, go Toronto Blue Jays. I'm sorry. I'm rooting for the Blue Jays. I'm going to tell you that right now. But anyway, we're not afraid of you Dodgers. We're not afraid of you Padres. We're not afraid of any of you in the National League. Right? We're tired of playing second fiddle or third fiddle because we're not even making the playoffs, and we're going to see what we can do. We also know that bringing in a college guy, this could replicate not the college space because obviously it's different, but we are going to take some things from the college space. To me, we've seen this happen in the NFL a lot where you bring in a college coach, and honestly, and in the NBA, it either works or it normally goes terribly because these are grown men. But when it works, you get somebody to buy in, and, you know, I look at Pete Carroll earlier on, or Jim Harbaugh, who's bounced back and forth from the NFL college. It has worked before, but there's also been the Chip Kellys and some bad situations. So you're building an identity, which I don't think the Giants have right now. We just know that they want to continue to pitch well. Okay, and play defense. That's all we know about the Giants. We don't know anything else about the Giants, about who they want to be. They don't steal bases, right? Putting the ball in play. Some of them are swinging for the fences. Some of them, are trying to draw walks. We don't know who they are. And adding somebody like Tony Vitello would say, hey, this is who you are. This is who you are now. And we're going to pitch. We're going to defend. When a pitcher makes a mistake, we're going to get some juice behind it. We're going to take risks on the base paths. We're going to take risks if it's a 2-0 count, if it's a 2-1 count, if it's a 3-1 count. That's who we are. It should be very clear. There is a Giants brand of baseball. There was a Giants brand of baseball when they won the 3 championships. It was torture. It was timely hitting. It was good defense. And it was have a ridiculous pitching staff. Now you got Logan Webb, what's left of Robbie Ray, no disrespect. Landon Roop, who's still a young guy, hitting wise. You're paying Chapman big money. That's fine. But, he's your 6'7" hitter. You got a center fielder that doesn't steal bags. And I'm not saying that Tony Vitello can come in and fix all of that. But one thing that I have read and heard about Tony Vitello is he is an outstanding assessor of talent. So he would know, hey, we could use somebody else this way, or we could use the lineup that way, something different that we've been seeing. He could maybe unlock a Jung-Hoo Lee. We know he could probably unlock a Drew Gilbert, and that's probably good morning, good afternoon. It's probably good morning, good afternoon for Luis Matos already. But you bring in Tony Vitello, and Luis Matos is done. I mean, that goes without saying. So you're going to give that nod to Drew Gilbert. And here's the other thing. I know I'm talking about the pros right now, so we can just switch on over. Look, man. This isn't college. right? If Drew Gilbert doesn't figure it out, Tony Vitello, it wouldn't be your call. You could walk in one day and Drew Gilbert's gone, right? Is he ready for that? Is he prepared for that? There's no love lost when it comes to Major League Baseball and when it comes to pro sports in general. People are trying to save their jobs. People are trying to keep their jobs. People are trying to make money. So that is, here we go. And not to scare anybody, but this is from, again, On3 is all over this. So Pete Nakos, he says, Tennessee's Tony Vitello will make a decision on the San Francisco Giants job in the next 24 to 72 hours. That was October 18th. Pete now says the 72-hour window has passed and still no decision. According to a source close to the situation, Tony Vitello told his team he has yet to decide. This is not good, okay? This is not good. So although rumors of Tennessee head coach Tony Vitello's departure for the Giants have been floating around in the past couple of days. He was present at the scrimmage. Obviously, he's already saying what we already know. Vitello would not be the first to make it. Okay. He would be the first. Vitello, who made 2 stops prior to Vitello's arrival. All right. So this is saying nothing. Okay. All it says is he was at the scrimmage. And all it's also saying is that the 72-hour window is passed. I'm going to tell y'all right now, this does not look good. This does not look good for the Giants. You are the San Francisco Giants. Enough said. If you don't want to be here, and if that's not enough, then I don't know how mulling it over for 72 hours will make that decision any easier. I don't know that. And I'm double checking right now, to be honest with you. This is from Sportskeeda, because look, this is, I think this is important. I'm just trying to figure out. He doesn't have kids. I think that's a big deal. He is not married either. Okay. And this was back in June. So I don't know. This was June 2024. But it's, the most recent thing is he does not have kids. He does not have. Yeah. Then here's the overview. No kids, no wife. So the only reason I'm bringing that up is because when it comes to Nick Hundley, that was a big thing. Right? That was, hey, I got my family. We want to make sure we're all good here. I'm not going to be able to do it. And he was just coming up from San Diego. But, you have Tony Vitello. So this is purely about Tennessee. So no kids, no wife, a chance to go to the big leagues. Literally, you're not coaching a bottom feeder. You're coaching the Giants. Okay? And you've had 72 hours and you haven't made a decision yet. How in the world is this good for the Giants? I have absolutely no clue how this is good for the Giants. This is the second time now Buster will have to convince someone, or he's in the process of convincing someone. I don't get it. I do get it, because this is what happens when you take swings, but I'm not sure how this is purely based on Tennessee. This is purely based on his love of Tennessee from the outside looking in. His love of Tennessee, his love of that fan base, his love for Rocky Top, purely based on that. So with that being said, I don't know how he wakes up tomorrow or in a couple hours and says, hey, I actually do want to leave, because I feel like he would have done it already. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Might have an emergency pod for you if it happens. Let's hang on and see what the deal is. If not, I will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until the World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.